All right. I think we're underway. Did you get the? Did you get? You usually, I always make a note of like a noise when something happens. You
It
didn't do any.
spoke to me. Does it normally speak to you?
Yes. What did it say?
It said recording in progress.
Yeah, that's right. We are going. What's up, everybody? It's been a little bit, but we are back. Going on our fourth season now, episode 134, season four, first episode. It's been a little bit. How you doing, Con?
I mean, it hasn't been that long, has it? It's been 2 weeks technically.
Yeah, but I mean, by the time people listen to this, it'll be like 4 weeks.
Okay, well, I'll try to speak to myself in the future. I'm assuming that I'm barely hanging on. Work is very busy right now. Um, but we're moving along, gonna get through everything.
Good. I like the positive energy there. I myself am going to be 2 weeks into semester 2 of 4 in grad school. Um, and just vibing, the way I do, making
Yeah,
stuff, testing stuff, just how I
stuff
do
and
things.
stuff.
Yeah. I can't give away too many things. It's very secretive. So,
Oh, okay.
um, let's just tell everybody what we're doing instead of continuing to waffle on. This episode, we are going to be doing something that we usually do for every season. We're going to go through our top five players at each position. So goalkeeper, right back, center back, left back, defensive midfielder, attacking midfielder, left winger, right winger, and striker. However, we're going to do it in a very, very popular form at the moment, um, via a draft. So Connor is going to pick a number one or two that I am definitely not going to rig behind my back. And we will decide who goes first. That person will take their first player, explain a little bit as to why they took them in their first spot, go all the way through five, and then repeat for the other positions. Um, any objections to that, Connor?
I object to you rigging the count, but
All right, I'll find a
no, I
select
don't care.
one.
I don't. Let's not spend time on that. Let's jump into it.
Well, we
I don't
can't
care.
jump. We how long has it really been? We can't just jump into it.
Of course not.
We
It
have
has
to
been.
go to
It's
what
been.
we.
It's been too long. I'm
It
rusty.
has
Give me a
been.
break.
It's 134 episodes, and you almost forgot how we do things. Connor, tell them what you're rocking.
I think this is a new one. I don't think I brought this up yet, but I have got a glittery Atlanta United scarf. I don't think you could see the glitter from here, but it
I
is.
kind of can. I don't love it.
Well, you're a hater. I like it. I really like the gold and the white.
So I like the color scheme, and I like the layout of it, but I feel like the glitter after like 2 seasons is just going to be gone. Like it'll
I
just
did.
fall off.
I'm not gonna lie. I did not expect it to be glitter when I picked it out. All I
Okay.
saw was the white and the gold, and then it came and it was glittery. But
Sure. Yeah,
I'm
like
fine with that.
I like the design. The look is good. If I were to rate it on our rate my scarves list, which you can go and check out on our TikTok, we are on part 10 of 11. Um, I would probably give it like a 7 out of 10. It would lose some points for the glitter, but the design overall is pretty good.
7 out of 10 is a passing grade.
It is. Like I said, I have been going through every scarf that I own and giving it a grade out of 10, putting some notes down. I came across one that I forgot that I really, really liked. This is a FC Cincinnati scarf
Wow.
that I
What are
picked
you
out.
betraying your own beliefs? What do you mean
First
you
off,
really, really
enemies of the
like it?
pod, so minus points. However, and I don't know if it'll be able to see it, I've got racing wiener dogs. 513 area code racing wiener dogs on this scarf. Absolutely elite. The longer you look at it, the better it gets. 10 out of 10 scarf. Absolutely love it. The team is a 0 out of 10 because they're enemies of the pod. However, the scarf, 10 out
Fair enough. I guess it averages out to a 5.
of 10. All right, Connor, I've got a random number generator here. I want you to pick
Okay.
a number one or two.
2.
It is two. Would you like first pick or second pick?
I will go with first pick.
Okay, you can get first pick. So you will get first pick on the goalkeeper, the center back, the center mid, the center defensive mid, the left wing, and the striker. I will get first pick on the right back, the left back, the attacking midfielder, the right mid. So you will have one more first pick because you got a lucky pick on your number generator, but I'm okay with that because I think I'll still get some good decisions here.
Yeah. I mean, listen, it doesn't matter what we pick. We're going to piss people off no matter what, because that's
Which
just how these ranking things work.
which is the ultimate goal, as you know.
I think that is, yes. It is the
So
ultimate goal.
a disclaimer before we get into it. This is based off of stats from the season before, and there may be some in here that are like how we think they will do the this upcoming season. So if they played a little bit last year or are brand new into the league, they might get in here even if they haven't played in 2022. We tried our best and to keep anybody out who is either not going to be here or has rumors that they will not be in the league in 2023. Again, we're recording this right in the middle of silly season, so a lot still has to go on. We've still got 6 weeks until the season kicks off, so um, we wanted to get this recorded so we would have a little bit of time to edit it, but we tried our best. With that
Yeah, I can
said,
tell you, I can
go
tell
ahead.
you off the bat, I didn't include anybody that is unsigned right now. So like Cayennes or like Cavallini, I didn't include. Even though
Yep.
there are rumors that they could stay in the league, I am not going to just assume that they're going to stay here for next season. So I just didn't include them at all. I also didn't include any new people just because I'm not 100% sure on where exactly they're going to play them. So I don't know exactly what list to put them on. But next year, obviously, I will put them on my list. So I kept off new people right now and people that are unsigned.
Yep. I mean, I kind of did the same thing, but I was trying to cover everything because I didn't know what you did because we don't talk about things because you don't like.
Yeah. But that's
Awesome.
what makes
Okay.
things chaotic and fun.
Correct. So, with the first pick in the 2023 top 5 MLS positions, goalkeeper edition, who do you take?
It's an easy one for me. Andre Blake. He is, in my opinion, the greatest goalkeeper in MLS history, arguably, or will be by the time he's done. And he has been so amazing season in, season out. He had the most clean sheets last year, second highest save percentage. I think he was top 6 in saves, most clean sheets in the league. I mean, dare I say more? And my favorite goalkeeping stat in the entire world that I love to go to, he was second as well. So he was phenomenal. I was between two guys for the top two choice, so I would have been happy going first or second here. But I'm going to go with the guy that's been phenomenal in the league year in and year out. And I don't see any difference in that going into this next season. So Andre Blake's my choice.
I will tell you, I 100% also pulled your favorite stat out and looked at this, which drove a lot of my decisions. Um,
Let's go.
so,
I'm influencing him.
so with that being said, my first overall pick, and this might be a stretch, but I don't think it is. I'm gonna go with Jordy Petrovich from New England.
Yep. Correct.
Um, so it's a stretch. It's a stretch because he only did get, I believe it was 20. What was the total number of minutes he got here? Um, just a little bit under 1,900 minutes when my usual cutoff for goalkeeper is 2,100. So I snuck him in there to try and see where he would fit. I did my statistical analysis, which involves a whole process. We might even do another video on it one day. Um, he ended up finishing in sixth place out of 23 goalkeepers in the league after only having 1,800 minutes played. I believe that's like 27, not 27, 22nd overall out of the 23 goalkeepers that I looked at. Um, he was second most save percentage, eighth best goals against average, and he was the best in your favorite stat, saves plus or minus expected goals. Um, that just tells me he is going to have a very, very good year next year. They've gotten that back line even better um, under Bruce Arena, and I think he will continue to improve. So he's my first goalkeeper.
Yeah, those were the two that I was between as well. It was either him or Andre Blake. That's why I was like, I don't care whether I start or not. Either way, I'm getting a great goalkeeper. I know you were talking about the small sample size, but his sample size was so good in that small time that you can't just not include him in your list. You have to include him. And you know what's
Yeah,
the
and
most wild
it's
thing?
not super small either. It's not like it's 7, 8 games. Like he
Yeah,
had half a
it
season
was
to
like
do it.
20 games. Yeah.
Mhm.
You know what's the most wild thing about that is with how amazing he played, he still had a losing record while in goal. You know, that's
I know.
insane. I
So
don't
bad.
understand how that even happened. I mean, I guess New England just scored like -5 goals.
All right, give me pick two.
All right, now things get a bit more difficult here. Um, so I didn't even bust out any stats for Blake or Petrovic because for me it was going to be pretty obvious who I was going to pick there. So now stats wise, I went pretty high level with my stats. I didn't really dive into any of the specifics. I took the player's rating on SofaScore and who scored, averaged them together, and also took into account my favorite FBref stat. And for my second pick, I am going to go with Brad Stuver here. I think Brad Stuver had a fantastic year last year. I think he's going to have another fantastic year ahead for Austin, even though they lost Gabrielson. I think they replaced him pretty well. He had a very strong 6.94 rating across both of the sites. Um, in my favorite stat, he wasn't the highest. He was like fourth in it, but still pretty high up. So I feel like I can comfortably go with him here.
Yeah, no, it's a good pick. He was definitely on my list. Um, I do follow down to a interesting one for my second pick. I'm gonna go with Martin Paes, the FC Dallas
Ooh,
goalkeeper, and let me tell you
interesting.
why. Third best save percentage, second lowest goals against average, ninth most shutouts, eighth in your favorite stat of expected goals, saves more than expected goals. Um, FC Dallas made a massive jump this year in ability from all areas of the game, and he was a massive, massive part of that. That goals against average is more than enough to prove that. I think the actual number was 1.06 goals per game. There's a reason that FC Dallas made it as far as they did. Granted, he had some help in front of him, but um, yeah, he's gonna be my number two.
I was surprised at how well he did last season when I was researching here. He was a quiet name, I feel like, all season, at least in terms of the goalkeepers. And then when I looked it up, I was like, wow, he actually had a really solid season last year. So he's a bit lower on my list. So I wasn't going to go with him there, but I think that's still a pretty good pick. All right, third round pick for me. This guy was number 4 on my list, so I'll go with him here. Dane St. Clair. I think
Ew.
Dane has Dane has finally locked down the number 1 spot in Minnesota. Doesn't have to compete back and forth with Tyler Miller anymore, which we can see if that ends up being a good or bad thing. Ratings wise, I think Who Scored did him kind of dirty here. They gave him a really low rating, so it kind of brought it down. SofaScore gave him a pretty high one. I think it was like the second highest on my list. But in my favorite FBref stat, he was, I have to check. I think he was third in it. So yes, he was third. He was, so what I'm understanding from reading the stats is that he was fantastic last year. And it looks like his defense just hung him out to dry because he had like the third, like top 5 most saves. He made a ton of saves, but his save percentage was still kind of low. So teams must have just been peppering shots at him all season. And it looks like, based on this stat, he was keeping Minnesota relatively in games, um, while the defense was just kind of letting him down. So I think Dane had a fantastic season. I think I will expect more of the same for him moving forward now that he has locked in that number 1 spot in Minnesota.
I have made it my personal life goal never to pick a Minnesota United player in this list, so you can
Well,
have
then
him
I
and
could
you
have
can
waited
have
longer to
every
take
single
him.
one.
That's annoying.
No, he was a bit lower on my list. Again, I worked in all forms of goalkeeping as a goalkeeper myself. I understand goalkeeping is about more than just keeping the ball out of the net. He was 20th out of 23 goalkeepers in passing percentage, 15th in minutes played, um, tied 7th for save percentage. So it was good there. But he was 16th in insert Nepentha's meme 16th. Um, sorry, that's a niche
That's
reference,
a great meme. That's a great meme.
isn't it?
Yeah.
He was 16th in the um, saves over expected goals category. I believe he had a negative one there. So not ideal, which is why it was a bit lower on my list, but not bad. For my third pick, I'm going to go with Eloy Room from Columbus. I know Columbus had a bad year altogether. However, he played every minute of the season, fourth most saves, fifth best save percentage, sixth lowest goals against average, fourth most shutouts, fifth on the saves over expected goals list. I mean, statistical monster all day long.
Yeah. I was surprised when I saw his stats as well, just considering that I feel like the season before this, he wasn't great. I kind of just not hearing his name expected that he was going to be more of the same, especially because Columbus missed the playoffs. But he was
Right.
solid last year. He was
Yeah, he was
solid.
very, very good. Same boat as Dane Sinclair, I think. I do want to make a note that this would be Sean Johnson if I had any confidence that Sean Johnson was coming back or going to TFC. I very much don't see. Well, I don't see him going back to New York, and I don't know if he's going to TFC or not. But I don't know where he's going to be, so I kept him off my list. Just want to put that out
Okay. I mean, I feel like numbers wise, Sean wasn't. I mean, you could tell me otherwise, but I feel like numbers wise, Sean wasn't that great last season. I mean, he
there.
had a lot of
On
clean
my
sheets, but his save percentage 66%, only 80 saves. You could tell me. I'm curious to know based on your stats.
Yeah, I mean he's up there in minutes and passing percentage and goals against average and shutouts, but he wasn't as spectacular as he was in years before, which is why he would have been three for me and not. He really would have been sixth in the list, right? But here, I think overall, knowing what he would do next season and what he did do for New York City, I think he would have fit fine in a 3-4 role in this spot.
Yeah, it looking at the numbers, it almost looked like the defense carried his numbers a little bit here, or inflated them, I should say. I mean, he's high on like the clean sheets and the goals against average, but I think based on like the save percentage and the post shot expected goals plus minus, I mean, he was okay,
Yeah,
which is
he was
surprising.
great.
I thought he had a stronger season because I think I was mainly just looking at like NYC have a bunch of clean sheets. But
Mm-hmm.
anyway, what are we up to? Pick four.
Yeah, tell me your fourth pick.
So this guy was actually fifth on my list. So my list is going pretty well right now. I
Mm-hmm.
think he's kind of fitting into the same category as Dane here. And I've gone with Alja Zivacic. I probably butchered
Damn,
that name big time
damn.
for Portland. Had a
Yeah,
really strong season last year. Ratings wise, across the board had a 686 rating. Favorite FBref stat was 5.7. That was fourth highest. I believe he led the league in goal in saves last season. Yes, joint with JT Marcinkowski, while also having a 69% save percentage. Just telling me that Portland decided not to play any defense last season. But from what it looked like, he was really good. You know, I think he was kind of in a tough situation from what it looks like, but he was making the most of what he could. So I think he had a really good year. I think he'll have a good year again going forward. So fourth on my list. I'm very happy to take him at four.
yeah, it's a good pick. It's a good pick. He was on mine as well, but um, will be interesting to see how he progresses now because they didn't make the playoffs and stats are great, but if you're not making the playoffs, they don't matter.
He needs help. He can't do it all himself.
Nope, I agree. I agree. For my fourth spot, give me Zach McMath.
Ooh.
Um, so a little bit lower finish to the season, but again, played every minute. Um, sixth most saves, seventh best save percentage, ninth best goals against average, and third most shutouts. Um, was it third most shutouts? Yeah, third most shutouts. Um, yeah, having himself a good season. Now he's low on the post shot expected goals list, which is why he's only here at four. But he was a massive reason RSL got off to that super hot start. And again, if RSL can get somebody to bag the goals in now that they've lost a few of their strikers, I think he is a key reason. Again, he's a reason why they let David Ochoa go. Right, David Ochoa is supposed to be the guy. He came in, took that spot, and just said, "See you later." So I trust him. He's been in the league for a while. I think he's a good spot at 4 here.
Yeah, I honestly I overlooked him. I didn't. He wasn't even in consideration for me, but looking at the numbers, he should have been. So
Ooh,
good shout. I with my fifth pick will very happily take Big Joe Willis here. Big Joe Willis at 5 for me is a fantastic one. He's not the type of goalkeeper where he's going to be top of the stats and like tearing the league apart like an Andre Blake or Petrovic, but he's just so solid across the board in saves, save percentages, clean sheets, even like the post shot XG plus minus. They really need to find like an abbreviation for that. That's not such a mouthful.
PSXG,
My God.
PSXG.
Okay, that worked. But it's still the plus minus after it too.
You don't need the plus minus.
It's not just post shot XG because that's from a
I know,
striker's
but we know
perspective.
what it is. That's all that matters.
Okay, we'll say PSXG, also very solid as well. He was ninth in that. Uh, Again, not a world beater, but he's so solid. I mean, I think almost any team would be happy to take him in goal, and I will happily take him with my fifth pick.
Yeah, I left that one there for you. I thought I'd be nice and give you a
I
nice pick
appreciate
there.
it. Thank you.
Um, I've skipped over Maxime Crepeau
Yeah,
because of the injury. I don't know if he's going to be playing, so I'm not going to take him. Which leaves me with a pick between two players, actually, really three players. I would say four, but I think William Yarbrough just misses out for me. I'll be honest with you.
I can't say I didn't see that one coming.
Um, so I'm going to give two honorable mentions here. I'm going to say in my fifth pick, I would have taken either Romain Celentano from FCC, but he had a great year, but in helping FCC get there, but he was bottom half in pretty much every stat that I cared about. So I think he's got another year to improve. Same deal with Drake Callender. I thought when he got in and took Miami's spot, I think he was strong. But for my fifth pick, was it really going to be anybody else? Give me Carlos Cornell at 5.
Yeah, figured that.
Um, he needs a back line in front of him to help him out. I mean, he got left out to dry so many times. I can't think of really one mistake that he made that led to any of the issues that we had. Um, However, fourth best goals against average in the league, ninth most shutouts, 12th, even with Sean Johnson on PSXG. So the ability is there. Um, he did miss out on a game or two from, I think he might have been sick or it might have been a rotation or something. And what brought him down in my list was his passing percentage because of Red Bull's style. Red Bull don't care about possession. They're not going to keep it in the back. So he's always going to be a bottom of that. So he's going to look a little bit worse in the way that I analyze things. But give me him all day long because I know what he can do. I watched him make save after save after save. I think he's successful and he'll be very, very good.
Yep, that would have been my pick too if I was in your spot there.
Very good. Shall we move on?
Yeah,
Let's go to the right backs.
let's right back it
I
up.
get first pick here.
You do.
And this is tough because I don't want to take a certain player who is statistically number one, and I believe it's not even close. Yeah, it's kind of close. So I'm not going to take him at one. With my first pick at the right back spot, give me Brandon By. I think it's a safe pick, right? Like I have three people here who statistically were up there as could have been taken. One of them is at a new team. One of them I don't think is very good at all, and I think the numbers are skewed. And then there's Brandon By, who's been consistently very good for the last 3 years. So give me Brandon By.
Yeah, that was going to be my number one pick too. uh, I'm actually going to change up my number one pick here from what I have on my stat sheet. And I am going to go with. Do I want to change it up?
Do it.
Nah, I'll stick with it. I'm going to go Brooks Lennon. I think he's more of an attacking option at the right back spot. 8 goals and assists in 25 games last year. The defensive work is definitely more left to be desired. I think 4 clean sheets in that time, in my opinion, speaks more to how Atlanta played in their defensive back line. I don't think that's necessarily so much on him, but he was, out of all the right backs I looked at, he was the top rated across both sites. Again, brought a lot to the table in terms of the attack. Had some injury issues last year that I think probably stopped him from getting a little bit of consistency going, but was arguably the best in terms of bringing the attack. And like I said, I don't want to put all the blame on him defensively because I think the Atlanta backline got torched last year with injuries. So I don't know if the defensive numbers are the kindest to him, and I think some of that is because of that. So a little bit of a homerish pick, but I'm going to go Brooks Lennon.
Yeah, not even on my list. I will be completely honest with you. He was equally on my list as Alec Mawil at right back was on my list. That's right. I threw him in there still. You can't get him away.
I figured you would at some point.
He didn't play enough for me. I cut my list at DJ Taylor, 1,500 minutes, and because of his injury, he didn't make the cut. But neither did Julian Gressel, and now I have to rethink if Julian Gressel's on my list.
Well, that's a question of did he play enough at right back to be on the list?
And that's exactly my point.
Played all over the place.
And where is he going to play next season?
Yeah, exactly.
Right? With that new transfer.
I don't know. I feel like I know the minutes necessarily weren't maybe there, but he played 25 games. I feel like, I mean, for me, I'd throw Brooks Lennon on the list. I cut mine off pretty low in terms of like how much games they needed to be on this list. But yeah, I got Brooks.
Yeah, at 2, give me Alex Mawil, and 3, give me Alex Mawil, and no,
at 4, Alex Mawil, and 6, Alex Mawil, even though we don't want a 6.
So at my second pick, give me Aaron Herrera. I think even with the new move into Montreal, I think his ability at RSL stood out. I think he, if we're looking at some of the key stats that we have here, he had the second best tackle success rate. He was the least dribble by player ever. Defensively, he was fantastic. 6th most interceptions, 6th most clearance, 6th most cross to the block, 2nd most successful dribbles. So now you go to the attacking end, and he can also do it on the attacking end. And then 2nd most crosses completed. I think all around, he's a great player. I think he can do on both sides of the ball. I think he's a good pick at 2 here.
He was the guy I was debating at taking at 1. I'm a big Aaron Herrera fan. I really liked him at RSL, and I think he's gonna bring the same level to Montreal. And I really wanted to go with him at 1, but the Atlanta blood did not let me do it, even though I have 0 Atlanta blood in me. All right, so my second pick, 4th overall here, I'm gonna go with Julian Araujo for the Galaxy. I'm a big fan of his. Obviously, a young player that's had a ton of experience at this point. He's played at right back for them for many seasons now. Had a 6.87 rating across the board, which was pretty high. I think it was top 6. He had 7 clean sheets, 6 goals contributions last year. So to me, kind of showing he can do it a little bit on both sides of the ball. For me, I think of him in a similar vein to Aaron Herrera in that he can kind of like provide a little bit on both sides of the ball. Maybe not, I would say probably not as good defensively as Herrera, but that's why he's getting drafted after him. But I still like him at my second pick here.
He was the best statistically rated right back in the league, which I didn't like, and it killed me.
He's good. Numbers didn't I know lie. You don't. I don't. For some reason, I know you have an agenda against him, but he's good.
It's not. Well, listen. First of all, did he snake the U.S. to go to Mexico? Yes. Does that play a part into it?
Maybe. He wasn't going to break. He wasn't going to break in ahead of who we have at right back.
Yeah, but what? Now you're going to go to Mexico, who's not going to have a good year for the next 7 years?
Yeah, that's why he can start there.
Anyways, I watch him play for LA. I don't like his play style when he plays for LA. It's just it doesn't do anything personally.
Just say you're a hater and move on.
At my third pick, give me Steven Moreira, Columbus. Same deal with Eloy Room. I think the team performance does not highlight his individual performance. Just a couple of key stats here: fourth most tackles, seventh best tackle success rate, second most crosses blocked, fourth most successful dribbles, seventh best passing percentage, third best crosses completed. I mean, again, both sides of the ball. Duke can do it on both. We've seen what he does when he goes forward and attacks. Really like him at 3 here. Happy I can get him.
Yeah, Steven Moreira is a good pick. Big fan of him as well. My third pick. Oh, this is a tough one. I'm not gonna lie. I think I'm gonna make some people upset here with this one. I think I'm ready to upset some people. I know he's not gonna be on your list because his sample size is a little too small, but I'm gonna go Shaq Moore here at my third pick. I
Ooh,
think
okay.
I think Shaq Moore, obviously, to a lot of people that don't follow the league, are going to be like, oh, he's terrible. He sucks. I've seen him play for the U.S. team. He's garbage. From an MLS perspective, he's a good right back. He's good. And his numbers proved it too. He had a 693 rating across the sites. That's fourth highest out of all the ones I looked at. Um, like I said, very small sample size. I think only 12 games. That may not necessarily be 100% correct, but from what I saw, only 12 games and 2 clean sheets and 1 goal contribution in that time. But I really think you're getting a USMNT borderline level player in Shaq Moore in a system that is known to be very, very good defensively. I think he's with a full sample size this season, he's going to be strong. I think he's going to be vying for one of the better right backs in the league. So I'm happy to take him at 3 here.
Yeah, definitely a small sample size. You are going to get a lot of people upset. That's okay. That means
Oh,
more
for sure.
views. Um, I don't hate it. I don't hate it at all. Now just give me 1 second here to finish some quick. Yeah. Um. Okay. That makes it relatively easy for me. At 4, give me Julian Gressel. So what I wanted to do was quickly check um the likelihood that he would be at right back for Vancouver. The only person they have there is Tristan Blackman, who was very poor for Vancouver last season, and they like to play him more. They can play him more as a center back. Then Javian Brown also is listed more as a center back. So this gives the free range for Vancouver to play 3 at the back with Gressel as a right back, which is his natural, comfortable position. And when he did it at Atlanta, he was the best of the best. I mean, and it wasn't even close. So I think I expect him to slot into that. I expect there to be a back 4 or a back 5, excuse me, with wing backs, with Gutierrez on one side, with Gressel on the other, and Gressel just serving balls in 900 times. So I'm happy to get him at 4 there.
If I would 100% assume that he would play like right back, right wing back, then yeah, I mean, he would move up the list very quickly. I mean, he's fantastic. He's phenomenal. He's going to be one of the best attacking right backs, right wing backs in the entire league. So I can't blame you, but I didn't put him on my list just because I can't say for certain that he would play there because he's a jackknife. He plays everywhere on the field. Honestly,
He's a
he is
Julian knife.
he is Ben Olsen's wet dream is what he is.
He's going to be directly into
Oh, he's
into
getting sent to
Houston squad
Houston.
by next season.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. 100%.
$4 million in GAM record signing.
100%. Sell everybody. Sell the entire team. Sell the farm. Just Julian in the team. 1v11. All right. So then my pick for I'm kind of torn between going for the more attacking guy or the more defensive guy here. Screw it. Let's just stay on the train of pissing people off. At 4, I'm gonna go Alex Roldan.
That is
Across
not
the
who I thought you were
board.
going to take.
No.
Nope.
Afterwards, you could tell me who you think I was gonna take. But I'm gonna go Alex Roldan here. I think he plays more of like a wing back role. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but Um, I think that suits him well because I don't think he's the strongest defensively. And it kind of looked like that last season. He only had 5 clean sheets across 32 games. Those numbers might be wrong still. I have to, uh, my source didn't seem 100% correct afterwards, but he had good ratings. He is good in the attack. And if he's going to be playing a wingback role, I think he'll have a strong season for Seattle, where I think they'll rebound because I just think they're too good on paper to have back to back bad seasons like that. So I'll take him at 4.
All right, at 5, that makes mine really easy then. Give me Nathan Harriel from Philly. This could be swapped with Oliver and Bizo. They basically split time 50-50 last year, but um, Harriel had the 12th least out of 15 players minutes played last season. Of everybody that they played, he still had the most tackles, the 6th best tackle success rate, the 3rd most interceptions, the 2nd most clearances, the most crosses blocked, the 3rd least amount of times losing the ball, and everything else isn't that great. But when he was in, he was a monster. You give him a full season to do that in the Philly system that allows young players like that to thrive. I think this is a steal at 5.
He was actually the 5th ranked right back on my list, like 5th overall. And then I looked it up, and he only played 5 of the last 15 games of the season. So
Right.
I 100% agree with you. He was fantastic last season numbers wise. I just didn't think Philly would play him this season. So I feel like they would go in Bizo because it seems like that's what they kind of lean towards, at least towards the
The
end of the season.
the rumor mill flying around right now is that Kai Wagner and Mbizo are going to do a Kamar Lawrence, Michael Murillo, and just bounce together at the end of before the beginning of the season. So I've got an okay feeling. Does it happen? I mean, we heard Kai Wagner has been leaving for the last 2 seasons, so I don't know if it happens, but that is kind of why I led more towards Harriel than Mbizo.
If that's the case, yeah, Harry would have been higher on my list. I would have taken him like 3rd round.
If you just did your slides like you were supposed to, you might know that.
Well, he hasn't left yet. So how am I going to do a slide on Mbizo?
You don't know anything.
My 5th pick here, I am going to go with Keegan Rosenberry for Colorado.
Ew.
He had a 6.79 rating, which is middle of the pack, but he had 9 clean sheets last year, which was the most out of all the right backs that I looked at. So it looks like he's going to bring, good defensive level to the team. In terms of adding to the attack, not too much there. He had 3 goal contributions last season, which is, again, more towards the middle of the pack, but I think his defensive numbers were good enough here for me to take him in the 5th spot.
In my statistical analysis, he was bottom half in everything except times dispossessed and number of times dribbled by. So
Those are great stats to be at the top of.
you do you. Shall we move to the center backs?
Yeah.
This one's fun, but you get first pick. So
Yeah, this is gonna be a tough one. All right,
the
first
first one's
pick.
not.
I'm just gonna go with defensive player of the year, Jack Elliott at 1. I feel like that's kind of consensus choice here. 7.1 rating across the board. He averaged 0.43 clean sheets a game. And like I said, defensive player of the year. So
Final pick?
yes.
Cool. Because I'm actually going to take the defensive player of the year, Jacob
Oh,
Glesnes.
was you
So
know what? As I was saying it, I was like, this doesn't sound right. Like I think I have it wrong. I think I got the wrong
so thanks.
I'm still gonna stick with Jack Elliott because his numbers were slightly better, but um yeah, what as I was saying that I'm like, I think it was actually Glesnes instead of
Yeah,
Jack Elliott.
that was really bad. um Glesnes, 3rd most interceptions, least number of cards, which is important as a center back, 3rd most clearances, 2nd most blocked shots, um, and 2nd most total offsides won. So when he's trying to draw a line offside, um, he finished in 3rd. Elliott finished in 6th. I mean, both players are center backs for the best defensive team in the league by like a long shot. So those were easy ones too. Now it gets more fun.
Yeah, I think so too. Um, my second pick here, I think I'm maybe relying a little bit more on expectations for this upcoming season. I'm gonna go Walker Zimmerman here. I think
Okay.
two-time defensive player of the year. His numbers weren't as great as he has been historically last season. I want to hopefully chalk that up to some distraction with the World Cup coming up, but he still had a solid season. He had a 7.03 rating across the board, which was the fourth highest out of the people I looked at, and had a low clean sheet amount. But I still think Nashville's a very good defensive team, and I think we're going to see his numbers rebound a bit here now that the World Cup is over with. So I'm happy to take him at two.
Very nice. Hmm. For my second pick, oh, there's so many good ones here.
It's a tough one.
Yeah, I can't pick him. He just moved. Don't like him. Give me, give me Marcelo Silva
Marcelo Silva. Where did you pull
from
that one from?
RSL. Are you ready? He had the fifth best tackle success rate, the fifth most interceptions, the 13th most headers won, the second best passing percentage, and the 13th most won offside out of 43 players that I analyzed. He was top 25% of every stat that I analyzed, uh, except for fouls conceded and clearances and block shots. Then he was top 50%. He is just a consistent calming force in that center back for RSL. Um, again, when you're top 25% of every center back with, I think what was my cutoff? My cutoff this time was 2,000 minutes plus or minus a few. You yeah, you there's a reason for it. So give me Marcelo Silva too.
You can have him. Not gonna fight you on that one. I will happily take Rafael Chicos at three then. The Chicago Fire
That
center
would have been
back.
that was my three.
Yeah, I really thought you were going with him at two. So I was preparing for someone else at three, but I will gladly take him with his 10 clean sheets in 26 games. A fantastic result. I think he was let down by the Chicago attack last year. Otherwise, this team would be in the playoffs just based on how good they were defensively. Rating wise, was actually a little bit lower than I was expecting, but still good enough that I'm happy to take him here, my third pick.
Okay. My third pick.
Come on, give me one like way out of left field, just like Marcelo
Oh,
Silva.
I've got one, but I know I can get him at four. So I could probably move and get
So confident. How do you know you can get him at four?
because you don't
You don't
even
know
know
my
this guy
list.
exists. I'm convinced of it. Give
I don't
me
know about
Yamar
that.
at three.
Okay.
Um, again, Seattle. He was the key center back in the first ever MLS team to win CONCACAF Champions League. Third most tackles in MLS. First most interceptions. Sixth least total cards. Ninth most clearances. Ninth most headers won. Again, just a defensive unit. He comes in, he does his job, he keeps everybody else around him in check. I think it's a good get at three. Probably could have gotten him at two. Should have gotten him at two. Um, but Marcelo Silva, I don't hate that.
I'm sure the TikTok's gonna love that one.
I've
Now I
got two
gotta.
more that'd be really good.
Okay. I almost feel like maybe I could get one of them, but I don't know if he's played enough. I feel pretty safe passing on who I would normally take here just based off ranking because I don't think he's going to be on your list. Um, so at was this four now?
Mm-hmm.
This is tough because I think these other guys might be better.
I've got
I,
so many
I'm going.
people
I'm
here.
going out of left field here. I'm going to go out of left field here. I'm going to piss some people off with this pick because that's what we're here for, and we like to see that. At 4, give me Teenage Hidebe.
You are the
Yeah, I
worst.
knew
I
it.
hate
I
you
knew it.
so
You
much.
think I don't know who Teenage Hidebe is? Come on.
I thought because he played like 1,700 minutes this season, you wouldn't even look at him. I'm so pissed.
He's Houston's designated player's center back. How can I not know who that is?
You barely know your own designated players. Why would you know anybody from Houston? Stop it.
You should have
They're the
said I
new
don't even know who
Dallas.
the defensive player of the year is. That would have been a better comeback.
That would have been, but you know what? I'm angry. I'm not thinking.
Teenage
Oh,
Hidebe
that's so frustrating. Go
was
ahead.
quietly very good last year.
I know he
And I
was.
say quietly because Houston was poor. But you know, I have a co-host here that is likes to ride the Houston hype train. And
Spoiler alert for predictions this season.
I think they're on the come up, hopefully. And I think that's gonna start with Teenage Hidebe, who had a very good 702 rating, 4 clean sheets, but that's in a small sample size of only 22 games. So I will very happily take him at 4 here. I think he's only going to keep improving in this league. And I think one day could even be a top center back, like top 4.
I don't want to do
I'm
this
so
anymore.
glad I could do that. I'm
I'm
so
not
glad
having
I could
fun.
do that.
I'm not having fun. I want to go home. At 4, give me Dave Romney, the new England guy.
Dave Romney
Defensively,
at
one of the
4.
most sound. Huh?
Dave Romney at 4. That's a pick. Your
Yeah.
list is something, man.
um.
Okay.
So again, everything I do based off of numbers from last season. So Dave Romney, one of the best defensive center backs in the list. Least dribbled by, second best tackle success rate, second least amount of fouls, least total cards, seventh most headers won. The dude just again, much like Yamar goes in and just is this very sound. You know, him and Walker Zimmerman together were very, very good. I think going into New England, partnering with either Kessler or Farrell, whoever ends up being that second guy next to him, is going to bring a lot of stability with Petrovic behind him. I think New England are in for a good year with Dave in the back.
He's a great center back. I would like to caveat. I think he is a great center back, but I don't think people care about numbers. And so nobody's going to probably have Dave Romney on their top 5 center backs list.
Weird, didn't ask.
I am going to go with my 5th pick with Jesus Murillo.
It's a good pick.
695 rating is up there, top half. He had 7 clean sheets, which was pretty good result comparatively to the other center backs. I think he is probably going to have a strong season partnership with Aaron Long or Chiellini, whoever ends up playing. Maybe all 3 of them play, but I think Murillo's probably going to see good minutes this season in a team that's extremely strong. So I would expect to see another really strong season out of him.
30th out of 43 players on my list.
That's all right. You keep sleeping. Go pick like try to think of a terrible center back.
Ranko Veselinovic from Vancouver.
Sure, yeah.
who is statistically ranked 5th on my list.
I hope you pick him.
No. I'm going to go Nathan out of San Jose with my 5th pick.
He picks a reasonable one for once.
I know. So, most tackles in the league last year, 4th most interceptions, 11th most headers won. You know, again, this is all taking into account an abysmal San Jose team in 2022. Again, I'm hoping he gets a little bit of help. They have done absolutely nothing this offseason, which is just hurtful to anybody who's been supporting that team. I saw a tweet today that said that they had an open DP slot, 2 open U22 initiatives, like excess TAM money, 4 senior national slot, senior roster slots, and they haven't made a single move all season. It's brutal. San Jose fans are just being dragged through the mud, and the owners need to sell. But yeah, like I said, I only got one that was really out there, but Marcelo Silva was the highest ranked player. Um, Overlooked for me, Julio Cascante in a very good Austin team, but he was comboed with um, the Norwegian center back,
Gabrielson.
Gabrielson. I wanted to say Fredrickson. I'm like, no, Gabrielson, and he just left, and they brought in another new guy. So he's got to find a new partner. I wasn't sure how he's going to perform. Veselinovic, again, 5th ranked, but he's in Vancouver. No, thank you. Steve Birnbaum, 7th ranked at DCU. No, thank you. Michael Boxall, Minnesota. Absolutely not. Lalas Abubakar, maybe. Again, that Colorado backline is sketchy for me. Milos Dejenik at Columbus, not a fan. And Alexander Cayens, who, again, we haven't included because we don't know if he's going to be here.
Back. Yeah.
Yeah. Left
I
backs.
totally just realized the guy I was gonna take at 5. I completely forgot about him.
Who's that?
I think I was gonna end up taking Miazga at 5.
Ew.
Miazga had good at least good ratings from last season. He only had 1 clean sheet, which I think probably hurts how he looks on paper, but ratings wise, he had really good ratings. But that's fine. I don't really mind missing out on him.
All right, let's move on to left backs. This might take a while. Like this episode might take a while. We got to hurry up. Actually, no, we're already halfway. We'll be halfway done by the time we're done here. It's not too bad.
Well, this is an easy one, so just start us off with the obvious one.
Yep. Kai Wagner is my first pick. Obviously, this dude has been the best left back in the league for the last 2 years. Statistically, not like super great. 3rd most interceptions, 3rd most clearances, most crosses blocked, but everything else is kind of bang average in terms of statistics. 3rd least times dispossessed and most crosses completed. But if you look at like that's just rankings wise, but if you look at the numbers, like the crosses completed stat, he's got 93, and the next closest I think is 27. Like it's like stupid how far
Wow.
like he deserves like an extra 4 rating just for that. Yeah, the dude. If the dude stays around, he's a clear number 1. If not, you've got some decisions to make, but I'll take him at 1.
Yeah, I would argue the most obvious pick on this entire list is Kai Wagner at 1 for left back.
Alex
2,
Mawil inverted. What?
2's a bit more interesting, but I'm gonna go with Diego Palacios here.
Yeah,
I think
not too bad.
LAFC had a strong season. I like what he provides in the attack. I was a bit unsure about his defense, but he had strong clean sheet numbers last year with 8 of them. So I'm happy to pick him here. He was the 2nd highest rated player on my list. So I think he will, assuming he stays. I don't know if he has any rumors to leave, but assuming he stays, I would assume another strong season with a very strong LAFC team.
I think every LAFC player has a rumor to leave based off of how good they were last year. Whether they're legit or not, I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
I'm gonna dip down on my list a little bit, about halfway down my list here, and pick somebody with high potential, and maybe because it's the last time I'll ever get to say his name on a podcast. Give me John Tolkien at 2.
Yeah, I figured that.
The kid is probably gone before the season kicks off. However, 4th most tackles in the league, most interceptions, 8th most crosses blocked, 3rd least amount of times dispossessed, 6th most crosses completed. I mean, he's all over the field, up and down the left-hand side. Doesn't back down from anybody. Will go into a tackle with literally anybody. Big fan of his future. I think you will see him once Anthony Robinson starts kicking it down a bit. I believe he is the next guy up. Because I think Anthony Robbins got that thing locked down for the next 5-ish years. And then when he's done, it's John Tolkien's time.
Sleeping on Sam Vines and George Bello, my friend.
Who?
But to each their own. I am going to go with a guy that I think 2 seasons ago was arguably challenging Kai Wagner for best left back in the league. I think last season he took a slight step back, but I still think he's one of the best left backs in the league. Give me Claudio Bravo at 2.
Yeah, I already typed it in before you finished talking.
Yeah, I think it's an easy one. I think he's a fantastic defensive left back. who probably, based on the numbers from last season, could do a little bit more in terms of the attack. But I, you know, it's a defensive position, so defensive job first, with anything in the attack being cherries on top. So he was he was strong last season, third highest rated player on my list. Very happy to take him at 2.
Yeah, very, very low on my list. Surprisingly, I thought he would have been a lot higher up. Um, Once again, leading the left back category in tackles, fifth most interceptions. You know, he's like you said, defensive masterclass, attacking is whatever. But for my third pick, I'm gonna take. I'm gonna take Dan Lovitz from Nashville. Um, Ninth most tackles, fifth best tackle success rate, second most clearances, eighth most crosses blocked, second least amount of times dispossessed, and second most completed crosses. He is the guy who has 27 to Kai Wagner's 940. So, again, another player who can do it on both sides of the ball. I think, he's got some U.S. men's national team experience, granted, way, way long ago. Um, just a solid guy. You can slide him in wherever you want, and he'll do you a good job. So, good to get him at 3.
Fair enough. My third pick, give me DeJuan Jones for
Mm-hmm.
New England. I think surprisingly he had pretty low ratings from last season. Maybe that is, true, and that he didn't have the strongest year, but I think he is a top quality left back in this league, and I think New England's going to be going into this year kind of like you said before, with a strong defensive team. And I think, obviously he's got that left back spot down pat. He was strong defensively last year. He had 9 clean sheets. 6 goal contributions is pretty solid as well. So I will happily take him at third. I think he can probably do better than how he did last season. I think we've seen better seasons from him before.
Yeah, I agree. I like that pick there at 3. I think it's a good three pick. At 4, I'm gonna go with the boy. Give me Nuhu Tolo. Um, the Cameroonian left back who will pocket literally anybody who comes his way. Um, the least dribbled by outside back in the list, third best tackle success rate, fourth least amount of fouls, so he does it cleanly. Sixth most clearances, second best passing percentage as well. So again, good on the ball, great defender. Again, if he was American or if he was any other nationality other than Cameroon, he's gone by now. But like we spoke about earlier in an earlier episode a later episode last season, um, transfer is weird.
Yeah, can't blame that pick. Who's a very great player. I'm gonna go with a kind of outside the box one here. If he's on your list, I'm curious to know what he ranks in your statistics. So definitely let me know afterwards. Fourth pick, give me Andrew Brody
I
for
had a feeling you were
RSL.
going there.
Yeah,
Seventh out of 21.
overall.
Yep.
Okay, that's pretty solid.
Yeah, I
I was
like that. He
surprised.
he was he was on my list.
A name that kind of, I think, fell under the window, probably fell under the radar. Sorry, probably because he's on RSL, and pretty much everybody on RSL falls under the radar. But he had a very solid 695 rating. Surprisingly, second highest clean sheets in 9, and also second highest goal contributions in 7, out of the guys that I looked at. So, granted, he played the second most games out of everybody on the list that I looked at as well. So, do with that information what you will, but numbers looked really strong, honestly. I was surprised. I don't know what to expect for this upcoming season, because I think RSL kind of overplayed what I think they were capable of last season. I can't wait for them to make me eat my words again, and they do it again this season. But um, I think that's probably why he's a little bit lower on my list at 4. But the numbers look good last year, so hard to keep him off my list.
Yeah. Um, I was about to take somebody who is not going to be in the league this year.
Nice. Who was that?
John Matinho. Uh,
Yeah, he's gone.
I forgot he transferred out. So that changes some things.
Yeah, you could say so.
Give me 1 second here. Quick Quick double check of the analyses here. The struggle of being a statistical nerd, you know.
Yeah, we know you're a statistical nerd.
Oh wow, that actually made massive changes.
Oh boy, here we go.
Something went wrong there. Something had to have gone wrong there. Yeah, I don't know what happened, but something went wrong there. Um, give me Andrew Gutman out of Atlanta for 5. I have seen him play for my team. I've seen him play for your team. I've seen him play for Jason's former team. Um, this dude's an absolute baller, bar none. And I think he might have been Atlanta's best player last year, personally. I think he was just all over the place on a very bad Atlanta team, by the way, very injured and whatever. I don't know if he's going to have a killer year next year, as I don't think that they're doing a ton to reinforce what they're losing. That being said, I still think that he is at least a top 10 left back in this league. So getting him at number 9 overall, I've got no issues with that.
Yeah, that was probably going to be my pick. I guess since you went with Gutman, I will go with Raheem Edwards here. I think probably numbers wise, I would assume he probably doesn't look fantastic. I think he had 6 clean sheets, 691 rating, both of which are about middle of the table of what I'm looking at right now. 4 goal contributions was kind of low from what I was expecting, considering he was an attacking player, transitioned to a defender. I'm going to go off the fact that I think he's got maybe a strong season ahead of him with LA, but kind of just picking out of what's left on my list. I don't love Raheem Edwards here, but I'll take him at 5.
I fixed my list. And Raheem Edwards, yeah, definitely a bit low. Um, but he was who I was deciding between 5 at as well. So if you had first pick and you took Gutman, Raheem Edwards is going to be my pick.
That's who
Um,
I was debating between also.
yeah. So like I said, we watched him play for LA, and at one point we thought he was the best left back in the league. LA
Yeah.
obviously, of course, fell off. Um, but yeah, he provides something that other left backs just don't. In terms of the way that he gets forward, I think again relatively low for what we were expecting out of him. But I believe, yeah, he had the most successful dribbles out of any left back on the list here. I'm just trying to find the number for you. Yeah, 57, and the next closest was 29. So I mean, he got forward very well. It's defending side of it that didn't work well. He'd work great in a back 5, where he was more of a winger than a defender. Um, but I
Yeah,
don't
that
make
makes
those
sense.
decisions. That's not my job. All right, we move on to our center defensive midfielders.
This is fun. Now we get to the area where it's like, does this guy count for this position or does he not?
Yeah, I will definitely call you if I think you've crossed the line.
Fine. I have a whole list, so I will just continuously go down the list until there's somebody acceptable.
But I will say, 45 players on my list.
45 players on your list?
45 players qualified for my list when I was doing this. Yes.
Jeez. How lenient were you with the CDM title?
Anybody. So my requirements were, uh, what did I cut it at? I cut it at. I actually what I did is I took the top 50 when I went to who scored. They have an ability to filter out anybody who didn't play in certain positions. So I set it to defensive mid and center mid. because
Mhm.
most eights are more of a six. And then what I did is I took out players. So like Paxton Pomykal fit as a number 6'8", but I know he's more of a 10, so I moved him up. And then I took like two or three players who are already out of the league or have transferred out. Um, Basically, the separation was CDM was a CDM or a CM on who scored, and the cam was just a cam. I didn't count the CMs and cams. So my cam list is 15 players, 10 players.
Oh well,
Yeah, my cam list is 10 players.
that would probably change things. I think I went more just defensive mid here.
Well,
I didn't.
my picks are going to be that way too. It was just a way to analyze things. So go
Okay.
ahead, I'll let you go
Well,
first.
all right. I This is going to be a mess for me. I'm going to tell you that right now. I'm probably going to be all over the place with my picks. So I hope you have your vocal cords ready because I'm sure you're going to be yelling a lot. I'm going to start off with a guy that had a really small sample size last year. Give
Shocker.
me Gaston Brugman for
Don't
LA
hate it.
Galaxy.
I hate how high it is, but I don't hate it.
He had, like I said, small sample size, but he was the top rated CDM. I mean, he kind of split time from what it looked like in CM and CDM, but he was the top rated and it was by like 0.16. So he was clear ahead of everybody else. I think some of that was because he had 4 goal contributions in 14 games, but I would expect a full season ahead of him. He's going to be great for them. I
Yeah,
almost, he reminds me a little bit of like what Raveloson did for them early on.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, he wasn't on my list because of the small sample size, but um, again, I don't hate it. I just think it's too high. My first one, again, kind of keeping with the list of one, two, three, four of the five positions that we've done so far. Give me Leon Flock from Philly.
Leon Flacco won.
Leon
Wow.
Flock had the third most tackles of all 45 players, the ninth best tackle success rate, third most interceptions, fifth least total cards, fourth least amount of times dispossessed, and 12th most headers won out of 45. And Leon Flock's like five. He's just all over the place. And he had the seventh most minutes as well. I thought it would be low because I don't remember him being in there as much as Jose Martinez, but he actually played more than Jose Martinez did this season. So again, that Philly midfield was so good, and it was deep too. It had a lot of people that could move in and fill spots. So he might not have finished every game, but when he was in there, out of 45 players, he was the third most tackles. That's crazy. Give me that all day long.
Since you looked at the numbers, I am kind of curious to see what maybe you theorize on this, but both of the rating sites that I looked at, they kind of slated him ratings wise. Both of them had him at a 6.8, 6.83, 6.84. So, what's
683 is good, no?
driving that? Compared to the rest of the list, he was middle of the pack.
Really? Again, I don't know how the rating, like I don't know what translates into like a plus 0.1 or whatever. Um Mine is just basically saying where does this player rank in relation to every other player that I've tested, and then I stress certain stats. So I stress tackle success rate is my most important stat. So if you're ranked 10th in tackle success rate out of 45, I will multiply that by 2 to say, okay, now I'm going to count this twice because that's how important it is. So it gives me an extra importance on things like that. And when you work it all out, he was clear of the second place person, who I won't tell you so you don't cheat, by almost a full average point.
Okay. I
So
mean, maybe it's the fact that he just isn't really involved in goals and assists much, but
right,
yeah.
yeah, like he's not a goal getter, and goals and assists don't work into my center defensive mid ratings because
No, I mean
why?
I guess it depends on how you use that role. Maybe you have more of like a deep line playmaker, like a Jack Price type thing. But
Mm-hmm.
okay, yeah, man. I mean, I kind of looked at a high level, so he didn't look great from a high level perspective. But I also don't doubt it because Leon Flock is a fantastic player. Anyway, now we got sidetracked already. At 2, I'm basically going to double down on my first pick and go with another guy with a slightly smaller sample size with the same first name. Give me Gaston Jimenez for Chicago. What's your face for? I can't tell. It's like I'm very confused on what your face is.
I don't hate
Rating
Gaston. I don't hate that at all.
ratings wise, he was solid across the board. He had the second highest rating behind Gaston Brugman. A slightly larger sample size here. Definitely more of a defensive player from what it looks like compared to Brugman. Um, he only had 2 goal contributions, so I think more defensive work was carrying towards his ratings here than in Brugman's case. And Chicago, even though they weren't great in the standings, were fantastic defensively last season. And I think he played a pretty big part in that, even if he's not necessarily in the back line.
Don't hate it. Where'd he finish? Out of 45, he was 11. Don't hate it. Maybe a bit high. Don't hate it. At 2, give me Obina Nwodu from FC Cincinnati. I don't remember where I saw the stat, but in his, he was the 23rd least minutes out of the 45 players that I looked at. He in those 20, what is the total number here? Just over 2,000 minutes, and just over those 2,000 minutes, he led the league like 99th percentile in pressures in the attacking third, pressures in the midfield third, dispossessions in the midfield third. Like every defensive stat that you look at for a high pressing center defensive mid, he led. Dude's an absolute animal. Great find by the FC Cincinnati scouting team. Player to build around for sure. They're missing 1 or 2 key players, but this team is going to be good with him in the middle this year.
Yeah, he was high up on my list too. He was going to be going off my board very soon also. So I can't knock that pick. Third pick for me, I'm going to go for more of an attacking option here. Give me Pablo Ruiz for RSL. I
Love
don't think
that.
he's gonna. I don't think he's gonna. I mean, you can correct me if I'm wrong. I feel like he wasn't gonna pull up great in the defensive numbers, but I feel like attacking wise, he was fantastic for them last year. He had 7 goal contributions, which was second only behind Alex Ring, surprisingly. Had played only 29 games, so missed a little bit of time there. So I think it's still a larger sample size than the first 2 that I took. But in terms of like goals or assists per game, he was still actually he was behind Brugman, but Brugman had a very small sample size. I like him here. I think ratings wise, he was super strong. When I thought of RSL, he was like one of their star players from last season that I can remember. So happy to take him at 3.
No, I love that. I very low on my list in terms of stats, but for the exact reason that you said, he really wasn't massive in the defensive end of things. But we know how important he was to RSL's early run that got them to the to being where they were for so long. Um, they need to build around him. He's not one of those do it on your own guys, but love
Yeah.
it. At my third pick, give me Illy Sanchez
Damn.
from
That was gonna
LAFC.
be my next pick.
Yeah. Again, another guy that you look at in terms of like why teams were so good. It was because Illy Sanchez was absolutely killing the game. Fourth most interceptions. Let's make sure I got that right. Yeah, I do. Fourth most interceptions. Third least amount of times dispossessed. Second most headers won. Um, he was just bossing it in that midfield. And again, we look at passing percentage with a grain of salt because certain teams have different styles, and a lot of times he wasn't doing the releasing in there. He was kind of just winning the tackle, letting it go, or winning the header, letting it go, and letting somebody else do the work. Illy Sanchez was fantastic last year. I will take him all day long. 3.
Yeah, that was gonna be my next pick. So thank you very much for that. Really appreciate it.
Welcome.
So in that case, I will go with, and correct me on my pronunciation of this one.
Draw.
Uh Gregor. How does he
Yep,
pronounce it?
Gregory.
Gregory. I'll take Gregory at 4. I think he has quietly been one of Miami's best players, if not their best player for a couple seasons now, is what it's felt like. I think Miami's on the come up. The spoiler alert. I'll go more in depth in that in future episodes, but I think with
Ooh.
I think with that in mind, I would expect another solid season from him coming up, and he was solid, just as solid last season. Very solid rating. Didn't look like he contributed too much in terms of the goal contributions, but I would imagine then that means that he's probably been pretty solid defensively.
Yeah. Next one here is tough for me. So I've got somebody I want to take, but he doesn't play a ton because of the team's midfield rotation. So here's what I'm gonna do.
Tell me what you're gonna do.
I'm gonna start by going with a future pick.
Okay.
Give me Aiden Morris from Columbus.
Okay.
Um, in terms of minutes played, 41st out of 45 players that I looked at. However, in those times, 12th most tackles, second least amount of cards, ninth least amount of times dispossessed, and the 12th best passing percentage. So in his small sample size, so I'm going small sample size and future, um, absolutely was a guy could who has the showings of being somebody on the up and coming
Okay. Fair enough.
level. I think you see a lot more of him now that Artur is gone from Columbus. I think he
Mhm.
slots directly in there. I think you're going to see a lot more out of him, and I think he shines. I think he does very, very well. So give me Aiden Morris at 4.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's a good point. That Archer's gone now, so that's gonna definitely put him much more in the rotation. I am going to go with Keaton Parks for my fifth pick here. I think
Yeah,
Keaton
didn't.
had.
Oh, go. Sorry.
I was expecting him to kind of lock into that CDM spot last season after James Sands was gone, and then he got hurt. So he had a small sample size of only 18 games, but numbers wise, from a high level perspective, he looked pretty solid. Ratings wise, he was fourth on my list, joint fourth. He had 5 goal contributions, so definitely getting into the attack a little bit. I'm not sure what the defensive numbers looked like. I would imagine they were probably only about okay. But I want to see with a full season now. I was expecting good things from him last season. I'm going to assume he's going to stay healthy this season and do what I was expecting of him last year. So plus he has to do something because they only have like 5 players on their team.
Oh, goodness. In my fifth pick, give me Matt Polster out of New England. Matt Polster, in basically the middle of the pack in terms of minutes played, eighth best tackle success rate, ninth most interceptions, 10th most headers won, and ninth best passing percentage. I think him coming in and not having to do as much if Latif Blessing does what Latif Blessing is supposed to do. I think opens him up to have a very good year next year. I like him at 10. There were a couple other people I was looking at, but I don't think he's a. You know, I think he jumps in and does very, very well in this new look. Excuse me, new look New England side.
Yeah, I think we've left off a few people here that can definitely swap in. I feel like.
Oh, 100%. Some of the players on my ratings here: Darlington Nagbe, Marky Delgado, Sean Davis, Remy Voltaire, Alfredo Morales, Michael Bradley, Frankie Amaya, Diego Chara, Jonathan Osorio, Human Thumb, Tommy McNamara, Dax McCarty, and then some future ones: Federico Navarro, Cesar Arujo, Edwin Cerrillo, Brian Acosta. Jose Martinez was left off the list too.
I was gonna say I was very surprised to not hear you mention Jose Martinez because I know you're a
So
big
I
Jose
mentioned
Martinez
I
guy.
mentioned him. Um, so here's some of the things that kept him off of my list. 18th best tackle success rate for a guy who is a destroyer, right? So dribble by 29th out of 45 was his rating in that category.
Is higher or lower better in that?
The lower the number, the higher are you up. So like first is the best, and 45th is the worst.
Okay.
34th out of 45 in fouls, 35th out of 45 in cards, 41st out of 45 in times dispossessed, and 39th out of 45 in passing percentage. So I get it. I love the way he plays, but too often was I watching Philly last year and seeing, I mean, think about the playoffs, seeing him make the mistake that caused the team to have to recover and go back, right? Or do full recovery runs to try and get themselves to prevent from conceding a goal. He was the focus of that. So, um, yeah, couldn't put him on my list just because the consistency wasn't there.
Okay. Fair enough.
Attacking midfielders, we only got four more left.
Yeah. This is another fun one.
Yeah. So what I will say is we are going to be a part of something. It might be out by the time you listen to this. In a top 20 MLS players, there was an attacking center midfielder I left off of that list, whom I have gone back and re-added because after doing this and noticing all of the very important statistical categories that I have missed, he is a very good player. And I thought I left him off because I was being big brained and I was just being dumb. With my first pick, I'm going with Carlos Hill.
Oh, interesting. Wait, was he the
Um,
one you left off?
he was the one I left off because when I looked at it, he had the same number of goals and assists as somebody else I was leaving off. So I'm like, okay, if I'm going to leave one off, I'm going to leave the other. But it's the non-point getting statistics that made me recognize. He drew the second most amount of fouls, completed the second most dribbles, scored the fifth most goals out of 10, fourth least dispossessed, most key passes, most assists, and second best passing percentage. So he basically ran the table in terms of the attacking midfielders I was looking at. Um, yes.
Okay. Can't argue with a former league MVP.
Yep.
I don't. I feel like you skipped this guy because you didn't put him here. My guess is you went off who scored, which I think has him listed as a striker. In my opinion, I don't think he's a striker.
I know exactly. I have him as a striker, and I was going to tell you that we have to look at him as a striker.
Fine, I'll skip him then. I won't put him here. We'll talk to
Here's the
him when
thing.
talking. Yeah, go
I
ahead.
will be I will be kind because actually wait, no, you get first pick at striker.
It's fine. I'll either way. I'll move him to striker because I think numbers wise, he was listed as a striker more.
Oh,
I don't
consistent.
see him as a striker. I
I
mean,
know
me
exactly. I
personally.
know exactly who you're talking about, and I put him in there too.
Yes.
And he was bottom of my list in statistical cams because he didn't play as a cam.
All right, fine. We'll move him to striker. I'll skip him. My first pick, give me Sebastian Druisi.
Nice.
I think that's an easy one. He was phenomenal last year for an Austin team that exploded in the attack, and I expect nothing less than for him to do it again this year.
Very happy that you did that because I am going with my second pick with a very easy one. Give me Daniel Gazdag. I basically am just taking all of Philadelphia. Um,
Yeah, pretty much.
um, MVP candidate last year, really had an argument maybe to be second. I don't know if they gave out like second MVP or third, like with the standings afterwards. But he would have been my second choice behind the person you wanted to pick here.
Yeah.
Um, second most minutes, most goals, third least times dispossessed, sixth most assists. He was the massive reason why Philadelphia were as good as they were.
Yeah. Can't argue too much with that one. Second pick for me, give me Lucio Costa for FCC. I think he was the playmaker, the gear, the engine for that FCC attack that last year was insanely good. He was top of my list for assists by a long shot. Like it
Mm-hmm.
was, I got this from the MLS website. He had 19. The second highest on this list was Heel at 14. So he
Yep.
was clearing away the top assister, and he still got 10 goals. to contribute as well. Ratings wise was a little bit lower than I thought he was going to be, but I mean, you really can't argue too much with Lucci when Lucci's putting up numbers like that, especially in 30 games as well. So happy to take him at 2.
No disagreement there. At 3, give me Lucas Ilarion. Um, yeah, that's an easy one. Third most goals, third most completed dribbles, second most key passes, and fifth best passing percentage. I mean, again, when you look at a Columbus team that didn't make it in, it was not at the fault of Lucas Elrayon. It was at the fault of everybody else. And him and
Yep.
Cucho are going to be dirty.
Yeah. Third pick for me. I mean, high level statistics. He was like almost a clone of Zelarayan. Give me Emmanuel Reynoso.
Thank God, I
He,
really didn't want to pick him.
he's fantastic. I mean, ratings wise, he was fourth highest, very high rating, 7.54. And he had 10 goals and 11 assists last season, which is only 1 assist off of his all around. So he's a fantastic player, whether you like to admit it or not.
And my 4 pick, give me Nico Ladero.
Okay.
I know Seattle didn't have the best year last year. But in his time compared to all the other attacking midfielders, he drew the most fouls, had the fifth least amount of time dispossessed, the fourth most assists, and the best passing percentage. Um, they bounce back this year. They don't have to worry about Champions League. They don't have to worry about doing it again. They can just focus on the league. They can get a full preseason without having to jump in and worry about rotating and getting into the swing of things. I mean, you saw it with Toronto after 2017. You saw it with them after Champions League. It takes a toll on teams, and some teams can't bounce out of that, and that's totally fine because they got the silverware they needed and the silverware that matters. So I think he bounces back and has a great year.
Okay. Yeah, he's on my top 10 list, so I can't argue too much with that one. Someone I don't think is on yours because it's too small of a sample size. I will take Ricky Puig with my 4th pick.
Nice
Very,
pick.
very
Yeah,
small,
that's a good one.
very small sample size from last season, only 10 games, but he was so good in those
Yeah,
10
that's a
games.
good one.
He had 8 goal contributions in them, and I think he's going to be a top player in this league. If he stays here long enough, he will be an MVP at some point, in my opinion. He's going to tear it up for LA. It's one of the best gets that an MLS team has gotten in the last couple of years, in my opinion.
I will tell you the fact that you put Gaston Brugman at first and not Ricky Puig is shocking to me because if anybody of that LA team was going to be a small sample size first overall pick, it was going to be Ricky Puig.
But Cam is so stacked. It's hard. CDM it was a little more open. I think Brugman could slide in there at first pick, but I mean Cam is there are so many good players at Cam.
I think Ricky Puig puts up like 5-20 this year. Like I think it's going to be a dumb good year for Ricky Puig. Him and
Oh
Chicharito are
yeah,
just going
for
to
sure. Yeah, 100%. I mean, he's gonna assist Chicharito like 80 times.
yeah, it's going to be so bad. And my 5 pick, give me Mauricio Pereira.
Oh, thank goodness. So yours.
Um, there were 2 other players on the list that I didn't really want to take, so I'm glad you took somebody that wasn't on my top 10. Um, but Pereira, not the best year, second least times dispossessed, second most assists, third best passing percentage, but everything else was kind of low tier. Um, he will have to worry a lot about Champions League this year, so he has to worry. Winning Open Cup means that he's got more on his plate. So, do I think he has a great MLS year? No, but do I think that he's still a top 10 attacking midfielder in this league? Yes.
Okay. He was not in my top 10. Last guy in my top 10 that we have not covered so far. Give me Thiago Almada at 5. I think it
Had
is
him,
going to
had
be
him, and took him off.
I think he's going to have a better year this year than he had last year. I think last year was a bit of a transition year, and I think this year he locks in. I don't know what to expect from Atlanta. It's going to be very question mark. A lot of guys coming back from injuries and some turnover in the team as well. But I think now that Amada's had a year under his belt, he's got a World Cup medal on top of it to kind of push him even more. this is the year he balls out and gets his move to Europe. And he was good last year too. I know it kind of like fell under the radar because his expectations were super high, but he had 18 goal contributions in 29 games and a very solid rating to go with it. So I expect good things from Thiago Almada this year.
I agree with you. Very, very tough because, again, when I went off of who scored and I picked just attacking midfielders, he had like 9 attacking midfielder contributions because he played as like a left attacking midfielder or a right attacking midfielder. They didn't count it. The one thing I'm worried about, which I think a lot of people are, there's no striker in this team. Josep's gone. You've got Eric Lopez and you've got Jackson Conway.
They're gonna have to sign somebody. I
They're going
think
to
they
have
will.
to. And I agree. I think they will as well. But right now, at the time of recording this, you could put Messi in this team. Messi's only going to score 15 goals. Just kidding. Um, I don't know.
Flip
I
it
think
for the TikTok.
I think listen. I think he does well. I'm worried about what he does. You know, well-rounded wise. Like, is he going to be just scoring goals for fun? Is he going to be getting the assist to a non-existent striker? How does he fit into Pineda's system? And I don't love Pineda as a coach personally. I don't think he's gotten it right. I don't think he's getting it right often. And I don't know if he'll be able to handle somebody of that quality personally.
I don't necessarily disagree with you. I think Almada is just too good of a player, though. I think he, no matter what, I think he finds a way to at least be a top 10 in my opinion. Cam.
Okay.
Anyway, let's move on, shall we?
To the left midfielders.
Yep.
You get first pick.
Fantastic. I will take the most obvious pick of probably the entire draft. Give me Mr. Italiano Lorenzo Insigne. Do
See,
I need to even explain that?
when you said that, did you know that you were supposed to say Derek Etienne Jr.?
I think you meant Alex Mawil.
No,
Inverted
he's a
winger.
right mid. Duh.
Inverted winger.
Yeah, no, that's easy. That doesn't even there is no head scratching there.
Yeah.
At my number one, let me check something here. Where did he play more?
That's tough. Yeah, I feel like there's a couple guys here.
Yeah, because let's see. I think what I'll do is I'm gonna start with Alan Velasco at um, my number one spot. So in an FC Dallas team that was much revamped, working with Paul Areola, Jesus Ferreira, um, second most fouls drawn, third most shots, fifth most goals, third most dribbles, fourth most crosses completed, fourth most assists. So, had a great first year at Dallas. I think that he will only build on that with the players that they're bringing in. I think he's a good, safe number one pick.
Yeah, can't hate on that one too much. That is a good choice. I feel like he's one of the top 5 for me. I kind of have a top 5 and then it falls off a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2 pick for me, give me Lewis Morgan. I
Damn,
will gladly take Lewis Morgan at 2.
I was honestly contemplating him at 1. I thought I could get away with dropping him to 2.
And you wouldn't have been wrong with going with him at 1, in my opinion, either.
No, hold on, wait. Were you not the one who said Red Bull overpaid for this man?
Oh yeah, I 100% said that, and he
Yeah,
absolutely
you
proved me wrong.
definitely did. We need more public
100%.
apologies.
What'd you say?
We need more public apologies out of you.
I'm pretty sure I have apologized for it, but I'll do it again. Lewis, if you're listening, and I know you are, I sincerely apologize for saying that they overpaid for you. It was turned out to be a massive underpay. You're a fantastic player. And I hope that you get a move to Scotland so you could stop terrorizing this league. Thank you. Yeah, fantastic. 18 goal contribution, 32 games, very solid 705 rating too. Happy to take him.
Yep, good pick. Luckily I had a backup pick. Give me Diego Fagundes at my number 2 spot from Austin.
Yep. Can't hate that one.
A very good partnership formed with the Druisis, the Yorutis. 7th most fouls drawn out of how many players did I look at? 19. Um, fifth most goals scored, ninth most dribbles completed, um, most crosses completed, and most assists out of all left mids that I looked at. Um, and that's only getting better. They brought in Jesse Zardes. Granted, he might drop off in terms of minutes now that they have a couple of other players, Rigoni and such, in the team. But when he does play, he's fantastic. So give me that.
I think he had the second most assists in the league last year,
Yeah, he was up there,
which
wasn't he?
is crazy. He was fantastic.
Well, it helps when
All
you
right.
got Driussi dropping 35 goals a game.
Yeah, it does. 100%. Um, all right. Third pick for me. Give me Tyus Magno.
Ah,
That,
you
that
jerk.
that's yeah. That was an easy one for me. That's my top five. He was great last season for NYC. 17 goal contributions, 34 games, a 708 rating across the board. So super strong. Definitely top five left winger for me. I think he can move around really anywhere between 2 and 4. And he's got massive potential. So I would expect another big season from him.
Yeah, don't hate that one. What I do wonder about him is it has been said that he's going to play more as a striker this year, because of their
Okay.
lack of players. So how he performs there is going to be left for debate, which doesn't make a lot of sense because they have Gabby Pereira play him in a 4-3-3, put Magno on the wing and let Pereira terrorize. But
Well,
I don't know. I'm not a coach,
they played Gabby Pereira as a winger last year.
which they shouldn't. Whatever.
I don't
Anyways,
love Tyus Magno as striker. I don't like his
I
finishing.
don't think he'll be successful. I could be wrong, but I don't think he will be. Granted, every midfielder, wide or central, is just the same when you play at Yankee Stadium anyway, so might not be a massive change. But
Fair enough.
um, at my 3 pick, give me Daniel Shalvey out of SKC. I think yes, he had a bad year last year. He also was a part of one of the most injured squads in the league. I think with all the players that come back, I think that he steps up his game and is able to work with the players and reaches maybe not his 2021 level, but somewhere between 2021 and 2022. Um, second most shots, second most goals, fourth most dribbles completed, sixth most crosses completed, seventh most assists. So, um, in a very bad SKC team, by the way. So, put some good players around him. I think.
I am happy to take all of the USMNT villains here. And with my fourth pick, I will gladly take Jordan Morris here. Uh, I think I think there is a player that I would say numbers wise, he looked a little bit stronger last year, but with a move to a new team, I'm feeling a little bit uncertain how he's going to fit in there. So I will take Jordan Morris in a system that he knows. I think last year was the first full season he was coming back after that pretty big injury. So hoping that, World Cup distraction and coming back from the injury was a little bit hindering his performances, but he was still solid last year. He had 11 goal contributions in 29 games and a pretty decent rating. I would think he's going to do better than that this season, though, especially with Seattle rebounding, as we're probably both predicting.
Don't spoil my predictions.
Well, you said it before.
Shh. At my 4 spot, give me Justin Miram from RSL. Uh, third most fouls drawn, second most dribbles completed, third least times dispossessed, second most crosses completed, fourth most assists. In an RSL team that was relatively good last year, but um, will he have that same season? I doubt it. But right now, based off of the stats coming into the season, I think he slots in at the ninth best left mid in the league, in a league that's not known for their wingers. So
Yeah,
I'll
wingers
take
is
that.
not great for us.
I'll take that.
All right, fifth pick for me. Give me Chris Mueller.
I
I
hate
think
you.
24 games last year. Obviously, he came back over from Scotland. He looked at, I mean, numbers wise, he was okay. He had 9 goal contributions in 24 games. The rating is about mid level for the list I'm looking at. I think he's better than that though, and I kind of expect that for this season that he's going to raise that level. We saw what he did with Orlando. He was fantastic when he was playing with DK and Pereira. I think he's going to kind of go back to those levels. That he's got some more time to kind of like learn how to play with guys like Shaqiri and Duran if he stays and Shabilko. So I think Chris Mueller is going to do better than he did last season. I don't think numbers wise he was necessarily top 10, but kind of factoring in that expectation, I'll take him at my fifth pick.
Okay. Um, don't hate it. Don't hate it. The reason I wasn't happy was because you left me with a Minnesota United player that I might have to take,
Okay.
but I'm not. I'm not.
Okay.
At my fifth pick, give me Derek Etienne. Um, Last season, career year out of Columbus with. Hold on, let's get the numbers right. With 3 goals, 17 completed dribbles, 25 fouls drawn. Um, that all comes out to having him fourth least dispossessed player, fourth most assists, seventh most fouls drawn. He's not a top tier by any stretch of the imagination, um, nor is he probably going to fulfill that same role in Atlanta. But again, going off of what he did last year in his career year, I think he's probably a top 10 left mid.
Yeah.
All right,
Fair
let's
enough.
move on to the right midfielders.
What a fun list this was. I barely have anybody on here.
I've got a ton.
Really? Well, I'm gonna probably have to swap one of mine out because I think I kind of cheated on one. I don't think he's necessarily a right winger.
Cheater. Um, Statistically, obviously, with a low um, sample size, he's low, but I don't think we can disregard the fact that Federico Bernardeschi is going to be, if he's not already, the best wide player in the league. I think he has surpassed Carlos Vela. Um, while Vela did have a good year, I don't believe he comes back into. I think this is the Vela fall off year. Full prediction alert, spoilers, maybe. Who?
Whoa.
Um, yeah, he came in and him and Insigne torched the league, and I expect that they will continue to do it again. He was scoring goals for fun. Um, Fourth most shots, the most goals scored of any right midfielder. Fifth most dribbles completed. Seventh most crosses completed. But I can see Insigne and Jimenez just terrorizing the league this year.
Yep. I will go with the obvious number two then. Give me Carlos Vela.
Yeah,
Even if you are predicting his downfall this season, he is still a phenomenal player in this league. He had 12 goals, 11 assists last season. Very strong rating to go with it. And that team is just so stacked that I think even if he's not at necessarily the same quality as the player that we know of him, I think he'll still have a strong season numbers wise. So happily put him at two.
nice. Um, at my two, give me Christian Espinoza. Most shots, second most goals, third most dribbles completed, most crosses completed, and most assists out of every right mid that I analyzed, which was a total of 18. So statistically a monster in a very bad San Jose team. You put him in any playoff team right now, and he's an all-star. But because he's playing for San Jose, a he's carrying a very poor team on his back.
100% top quality player. I'm going to write a player's name in the chat, and you tell me if he counts as a right winger.
No. Yeah, I'll give you that. I don't care enough about that. Sure.
Okay.
Where else would he
All
play?
right. No,
Left?
what'd you say?
Where else did you think he played?
Who scored? I think mainly had him as a striker, actually.
No,
But
he's not playing as a
he,
striker.
I don't think he's a striker either. Number two, I will take Jefferson Savarino.
No
And
way.
yeah,
Whoa.
I know,
Wow.
I
Didn't see
know.
that
You probably
coming.
weren't expecting that one. Um, he obviously had a stint in MLS previously. Then he left. I think last year was the first year he came back. He played 19 games for RSL last year. He had 13 goal contributions in those games. He was phenomenal for them. He's the second highest rated player on this list, higher rated than Vela, and was just below Bernadeschi. Granted, again, it's a small sample size, it's only 19 games, but he was so good for them. And I feel like he will continue to be good for them and continue to get involved in the goal contributions because I just don't think that there's a ton of other guys on RSL that are going to do it. So I think numbers wise, he's going to look strong again, even if RSL necessarily don't.
Yeah. I like it. Give me at 3 Facundo Torres from Orlando. I think that his stock rises massively when he starts torching players in U.S. Open Cup. Um, third most fouls drawn, fifth most goals, sixth most crosses completed, and third most assists out of all the right mids. His World Cup experience obviously raises his stock a little bit. Um, I think Orlando's front four is going to be scary if they can make it work with the Champions League.
All right. Give me Luis Arujo at 3. I know he had a down year last year. I think injuries and Atlanta's turmoil definitely had a big influence on that. But I think this guy is a top quality player. At the start of the season, I think you and I both had him competing for the MVP spot.
Yeah, and then their
He
entire team
had,
got hurt
yeah, including him. So we had
in
high
the first
expectations for
game.
him. Yeah, I know.
I
After
remember
he
watching
scored
that. Like he
too.
scored a goal, we were all so hyped, and then he got hurt like 5 minutes later. I'm like, there goes my pick.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm hoping optimistically that he stays healthy this season. I still don't know what to expect from Atlanta, especially in terms of the attack if they don't have a striker. But I think he's going to rebound. He still had a really good rating last year in the 20 games that he played. Goal contributions weren't really there. He only had 10. I would kind of expect more from him, but I'm going to go a little bit optimistic with this pick. I think he's going to rebound better and have a much stronger year this year.
I like that. I like that. Well, I'm going to go with a World Cup snub in Paul Areola at 4. This dude
Snub indeed.
should have been on the plane, and I will die on that hill. Sixth most shots, fifth most goals, sixth least time dispossessed, eighth most assists out of 18 players. Um, what's not picked up in stats, obviously, as we all know, is the work rate, the defensive pressing, the ability to win the ball high up the field and create chances. Um, and he is a massive reason him, Ferreira, and Velasco, why FC Dallas were who they were. Easy top 10.
Yeah, no disagreements there. 4 pick for me. Give me Santiago Moreno for
Oh, you
Portland.
jerk.
His 15 goal contributions last season, a 7.11 rating, which was top 5 out of the list I have here. So definitely pretty strong. Uh, I think Portland will stay pretty strong in the attack. Definitely need to work on their defense, but I would expect another solid season from him.
Yeah, this last one's easy for me. At my 5 pick, give me Johnny Russell from Sporting Kansas City. Um, most fouls drawn, second most shots, second most goals, most dribbles completed, third most crosses completed. Um, again, in a very bad Sporting Kansas City team. So I don't doubt that when they get all their players back, they're going to be very, very good.
Yep. Last pick for me, round 5. Give me sticking with the theme here. Give me Christian Roldan. Let me complete
I
the
was wondering if you were
trio.
going to take him.
Yeah, the guy got to complete the USMNT villain trio.
I love it.
Not a villain in my heart, but a villain in many people's hearts.
I love it.
Um, yeah, I mean he was kind of in the theme of Seattle. Probably not his best season last year. I would expect that he's going to rebound this year as well as with the team. Only played 26 games, had 9 goal contributions. Rating was pretty solid at 706. I think that was 6th or 7th highest on my list. So I'm happy to take him here with the 5th pick.
Yeah, no, that's good. That rounds out pretty much the statistical top 10 too. I don't think anybody outside of maybe Severino was outside there. So, um, yeah, that means we have one spot left. It is our
Striker time.
striker spot.
Yep.
You get first
Um,
pick.
yeah, considering we had our conversation earlier, I think first pick's kind of obvious here. But I will be going with a one.
Alex Mawil.
Yes. Hani Mukhtar, league
Yeah, it's easy.
MVP, got that award correct. I didn't check, but hopefully I'm right actually. 23 goals, 11 assists, 7.61 rating. He was unreal. I mean, he's got more goal contributions than games. I would expect nothing less that he will be phenomenal again next season. Maybe not MVP level. We'll see. I mean, I would not put it past him to go back to back, considering he should have been back to back.
I
But
I
yeah, easy
will
pick for me.
I will confirm to you that he did win MVP. Congratulations. He
Thank you.
did
Thank you.
beat out a clear and obvious snub in Alex Mawil, but we move.
There's a lot of Alex Muyl reference this episode.
It is. It is. It's been so long since we've talked. I've had so much built up. Um, Mine is a very big as long as he stays here, but I feel like I can't miss him. That'd be Christian Aranjo from LAFC. Um, a monster. Just a pure, and the fact that LAFC are even considering letting him walk baffles me. This dude is Josef Martinez reincarnated. The dude just steps on the field and he scores goals. You know how many teams would kill to have a player like that? Yes, you could set records and get record amount of Garber bucks or whatever, but you don't find those players every day that translate to this league. You need to keep them around. Um, I mean, I can go through stats. We all understand what he did. Um, yeah, he's far and away number one for me.
Yeah, can't blame you for that pick. There's a lot of strikers up here that are it's kind of tough to figure out where exactly they land. A lot of guys
Yeah.
that I feel are in like a similar pool. Um, I'm gonna go on the side of optimistic for this upcoming season, and a guy that I think has a ton of potential. I'm gonna go Brenner at 2. I
Okay,
think
I like it.
he's kind of in this pool of strikers here. I got like 5 or 6 guys here where it's like they're all super strong, and honestly, outside of Hani, kind of can fall anywhere between those like 2 and 6 spots. I'm gonna go with Brenner because I think he has probably the most upside out of everybody. I think he's got huge potential. He got I know Brandon Vasquez got a lot of the I'd say the lights and the plaudits last season because of his rise, but Brenner was so good last season for them too. He had 24 goal contributions in 29 games. Obviously, we know he's young. He's got huge potential. I think he can only get better. If he has another season like that again, he's surely off to Europe. He's gone for sure. FCC will get a boatload of money for him. So yeah, I'm gonna go with a little bit of optimism on his potential and say that he will get even better for the season.
Um, I am going to go the opposite of optimism in terms of potential and go with tried, trusted, and true with optimism that the new players around him will make him even better. Give me Chicharito too.
Ooh, okay.
Chicharito, the most fouls drawn of any striker that I looked at, and I looked at a total of 27. The fourth most shots, the most amount of goals. 10th best goal conversion rate, which I take highly. And then eighth least number of unsuccessful touches. So when the ball comes into him, he's not losing it on his first touch. Fifth best short passing completion. Um, all of that puts him as the second best statistical striker for me. So again, with Ricky Puig coming in behind him and setting him up, I think he's going to blow up in LA Galaxy's system this year.
Fair enough. My third pick, I'll go for the guy with the small sample size. Give me Cucho
Ah,
Hernandez. Yeah.
oh, okay.
Sorry. Oh, oh, I know who you're thinking of.
You
He's
know who
also on
my
my
three
list.
is.
He's also on my list, but I will take Cucho here. I think it was a small sample size in only 16 games, but he outside of Hani has the second highest rating out of all the players here. I think he started off super red hot and cooled down a little bit, but I would still think 12 goal contributions in 16 games with a 7.52 rating. Extrapolate that across the full season, he's going to tear this league apart. He will potentially be a league MVP finalist. So I got high expectations for him. Him and Zelarayan, I think he's going to have a fantastic season.
No disagreements there. It was going to be between him and somebody else. And that
Yeah.
somebody else for me is William Agata.
Hmm.
Um, the only reason Sporting Kansas City fans had anything to look forward to in the end of this 2022 season was
Well,
because
that's
Agata.
that's not very nice to Eric Tommy.
Okay. So the only reason that anybody had anything to look forward to in Sporting Kansas City
What do you
world
mean? That is the disrespect. All right. Anyway, go ahead, finish, and then I'll get into it.
is because William Agata came in and lit their forward line on fire. Now it's going to be tough for them to sit somebody because of him, but that's the type of striker play you need for a team that wants to compete in this Western Conference. So, very excited to watch him play over the next couple of months and see if he can turn that into something legit.
Are you done with your Eric Tommy disrespect now?
Yes, can you please take your fourth pick before I reach through here and smack you?
He was a center mid for them, played 12 games and had 5 goal contributions for them. He was just as promising as Agata.
Wow, so cool.
I hope you clip it and send this to the SKC fans so they can roast you.
That's the best part about being in charge of clips and videos. Is I pick what I
Yeah, I
think the
know you're not
most.
going to clip it.
You're dang right.
Fourth pick, keep me on the USMNT villain arc. Give me Jesus Ferreira.
Nice.
He has been great for the last 2 seasons, and that's to me gave the slight nod over someone else that I'm sure you will probably be taking within the next pick or two. So very solid season for him. Happy to take him at 4.
Nice. At my 4 pick, give me Brandon Vasquez.
Yep, that's exactly what I thought you were gonna go with.
Yep, that's an easy one. It was going to be one or the other. Brandon Vasquez should have been on the plane. Should be in January camp. If he's not in January camp, I'm moving to Canada. I'm done with this. I'm not dealing with this garbage. Um, fourth most times fouled, most goals, seventh most shots, sixth best goal conversion rate. Again, I love that stat. Massive. Um, most short passes completed. He's your classic hold the ball up, get in behind, tap the ball in for a goal. Um, Excited for his future. I really hope we get to cap him again. If we don't cap time in this window, I'm going to watch curling. Like I don't know.
Yeah, can't knock you for that one. Let's see if it's if he can continue the form that he was in last season though. It has only been one season sample size, so I'm curious.
Yeah, I mean he's in
Um,
a team that can use him correctly. He's not like in some garbage franchise like Atlanta where they just
fair
waste him.
enough. Fifth pick for me, give me Julian Carranza.
Ah, you jerk.
I will happily take a guy that had 23 goal contributions and revitalized his career last year with arguably the best team in the league. I mean, technically, I guess second best team in the league, but he's fantastic. Mikhail Yuri was also fantastic. Could have definitely went with him as well, but I'll go with Carranza. I think I like Carranza's upside a little bit more. Has a little bit more familiarity with the league as well. Has a full season now settled into the Philly system, and we know how good the Philly system could be and how consistent it is. That's the biggest thing for me. So I expect Carranza to have another good season this season.
Yeah, I've got in my 5 spot. I've got I've got honorable mentions for Nico Ure in Philly. Leo Campagna, now the only Miami striker there. I think he has a very big year upcoming. But I'm going to go Sebastian Ferreira at Houston for my 5 pick.
Oh,
Uh,
interesting. Is that more
so,
of an optimistic one for this upcoming
yep,
season?
that's exactly what it is. I think he had a great showing in a very bad Houston team. I believe it was 13 goals that he scored total. Um, might have been 13 goal contributions, but
No, he
um,
had 13.
it was 13. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, seventh least amount of offsides, so he knows how to time his run. Um, like I said, 13 goals, sixth most completed dribbles, 12th, I'm sorry, 11th most short passes completed. So when he holds the ball up, he does it well. Again, he's not a top 5, but I think with one good, again, with the players that they're bringing in his teammate from, uh, oh gosh, where'd he come from?
I don't remember.
Hold on.
Was it Paraguay?
Yeah, I was trying to think of the actual name. Um, Sebastian Ferreira. He came from
Libertad.
Libertad, yeah, where our friend Tito Villalba is, I believe.
Oh, really?
Yes, I believe that's where he ended up. Um, Anyways, they're bringing in one of his teammates on loan who played like, I think they played like 20 something times together. So a little bit of familiarity with him. Again, there's going to be a lot of turnover in Houston. I don't know if he completely balls out, but I've got hope. Ivan Franco's on his way. So
Yeah,
that
I
is,
think he definitely has the potential to be a top five striker in the league. I
yep,
agree with you.
at some point. I think 10's a good spot for him right now compared to everybody else that we have. Like I said, I don't know about Swiderski yet. Max Ruti, I think, is going to get dropped, which is unfortunate because he's been fantastic. I think Jeremy Bobas is a pen merchant. I don't think that he does everything that he did last season. Rui Diaz might come back. I don't know. Um, Luis Amaria plays for Minnesota, so he's out. Kyoto at Montreal decimated. Don't think so. Jossie Zardes at Austin, maybe now that he's moved, depending on if they go with Ruti or Zardes or both. Jesus Jimenez was another one I was thinking about. Not sure what his contribution will be with the new Toronto team. And then Josef Martinez at Miami, too. That will be an interesting one.
Did you mention Carr at all for Orlando?
I didn't. I was about to, but again, that will be all dependent on Champions League, how far they get, how they choose to handle their roster rotation, things like that. Um, John Duran is on my list as well, but I don't think he stays longer than half a season. And Brian White is a goat, and I will not put him amongst children. So,
Hmm. Okay.
but okay, that is it. That's it for us here at the Designated Players Podcast, episode 134. We went through the top 5 players at each position, did a little draft, got some good clips because that's all that matters here, obviously. um, we hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you are following us anywhere you get your podcast so you know when we post a video, when we go live, things like that. Make sure you follow us on all forms of social media: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. So you can interact with us. We love interacting with you guys. So much fun. This off season has been great. And make sure, oh, and Twitch too, because Connor and I have agreed, and I don't know if he knows this yet, but we've agreed to do at least 2 Twitch streams a month because we have StreamYard and we haven't used it, and I'm not going to sit here and just let it sit idle. So make sure you're subscribed there so you can watch some games live with us, and go through all of that. So yeah, anything else you want to add, Connor?
Nope.
Didn't think so. Thanks so much. Let us know what you think about our picks in the comments below, wherever you are listening and or watching. And we'll see you next time on the next episode of the Designated Players Podcast. See ya.